All right, let's dive right into how the FDA actually gets companies to create medications for rare diseases. If you're a professional trying to wrap your head around healthcare compliance, or just someone curious about how government rules literally shape modern medicine, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're unpacking a very specific set of rules, Title 21, Part 316 of the Code of Federal Regulations. We're going to translate what these regulations demand, why they're so crucial, and what goes down if a company drops the ball. Just to give you a quick roadmap for this explainer, we've got 6 main stops today. 1. Solving the rare disease puzzle. 2. Key terms you must know. 3. Requesting early FDA guidance. 4. Qualifying for orphan status. 5. The 7-year exclusivity reward. And finally 6. What happens if you fail? Let's get into it. Section 1. Solving the rare disease puzzle. To really get these rules, we first have to understand the massive market failure they were designed to fix. So how do you incentivize companies to cure diseases that hardly anyone actually has? That right there is the fundamental flaw in the pharmaceutical market. Look, creating a brand new drug costs an absolute fortune. We're talking hundreds of millions, sometimes billions of dollars for research and clinical trials. If you're making a drug for millions of people, sure, you'll eventually make that cash back. But what if the patient pool is tiny? If only a few thousand people have a condition, normal market math says companies just can't recoup their costs. And without intervention, those patients are essentially left without hope. The government solution here is a totally unique program that turns unprofitable medical research into a highly protected business opportunity. To fix this gap, the FDA built a framework balancing incredibly strict rules with some massive market incentives. Basically, the government steps in and tilts the scales. They take a terribly unprofitable financial risk and transform it into an incredibly lucrative, highly protected venture, but only if you follow their playbook to the letter. Moving to Section 2, Key Terms You Must Know. Before you even think about the application process, we need to translate a few heavy regulatory terms into plain English. 200,000. This is the absolute magic number for this entire framework. Legally speaking, a disease is classified as rare if it affects fewer than 200,000 people across the entire U.S. at the exact moment you submit your request. This is the ultimate gateway metric, guys. The FDA doesn't just take your word for it either. They demand hard demographic data, literature citations, and solid scientific proof that your target patient base sits under that exact threshold. Next up is the term orphan drug. This is a specialized medication officially designated by the government to treat, diagnose, or prevent a rare medical condition. If you meet that strict 200,000 person limit, your medication can get this label. And orphan here just means the condition has been financially abandoned by the mainstream pharma market. Snagging this official designation from the FDA is literally the key that unlocks all the crazy regulatory benefits we're going to talk about. Then we have the core active ingredient. The FDA focuses strictly on the specific molecule inside your medication that actually does the physiological work, which they call the active moiety. They completely ignore all the extra chemical packaging, like the salts or esters used just to deliver the drug into the body. And why does that matter so much? Well, it absolutely stops companies from just tweaking the delivery method of an old, existing drug and pretending they've invented a brand new treatment for a rare disease. This brings us to a really brilliant nuance in the rules. Brand new medication versus a clinically superior variation. You can actually still qualify for all these incentives even if somebody else already made a really similar drug. But, and this is a huge but, you have to scientifically prove your version is clinically superior. No copycats allowed. You have to prove through rigorous trials that your updated version is way safer, massively more effective, or provides a major breakthrough in patient care. It forces the industry to actually innovate, not just recycle old formulas. Section 3, Requesting Early FDA Guidance. Let's talk about how you can actually get the FDA to act as your mentor before you blow millions on trials. So the steps are: 1. Detail your proposed drug and target disease. 2. Summarize all your existing research data. 3. Outline your testing roadmap. And 4. Ask the FDA specific questions about your plan. Think of this like asking for the grading rubric before you take a massive final exam. You hand the FDA your planned testing protocols, all your non-clinical data, and a deep dive into the chemical makeup of your drug. Then you ask them exactly what studies they are going to require for final approval. This can literally save a company years of time and millions of dollars by stopping them from running the wrong trials. But the FDA won't just hold your hand no matter what. They will refuse to help if you're missing critical information, if you're asking unclear or vague questions, if the targeted disease isn't actually rare, if you have unjustified testing plans, or if you make untrue statements of fact. If your request is sloppy or your regulatory history is full of holes, they'll bounce it right back. They have absolutely zero tolerance for lies or laziness. You've got to do your homework before asking them to do theirs. All right, Section 4, Qualifying for Orphan Status. Here is how your company officially builds the legal and scientific case to get this special designation. The process is pretty straightforward on paper. 1. Identify the specific rare condition and patient population numbers. 2. Provide the scientific rationale for why the drug will work. 3. Explain your drug's chemical properties. 4. Commit to submitting annual progress reports. You absolutely have to formally request the status before you hand in your final marketing application. You're building a rock-solid case with hypotheses and hard demographic data showing the patient pool is under 200,000. Plus, once you get the status, you're officially on the hook. You have to submit annual progress reports detailing your clinical trials, your plans for the next year, and any roadblocks you're hitting. Now, what if your drug targets a disease that affects more than 200,000 people, but it's still completely unprofitable to develop? We have the standard rare disease pathway for under 200K patients and a financial exemption pathway for over 200K patients. With that exemption, you have to prove, using certified accounting data, that your extremely high research and development costs will never be recovered by your expected U.S. sales revenue. You literally have to open your books to the FDA. Licensing costs, liability insurance, projected market share, the whole shebang. It is a super high bar, but it ensures that truly unprofitable life-saving drugs still have a fighting chance. Moving right along to Section 5, the 7-year exclusivity reward. If you successfully document everything and actually get approved, it is time for the massive reward at the finish line. 7. That is the magic number here. You are granted 7 full years of exclusive market approval for that specific drug treating that specific disease. During this time, the FDA will completely block any competitor from gaining approval to sell the same drug for the same indication. This is the ultimate carrot of the whole regulation. It is a literal government-enforced monopoly. For 7 years from your approval date, the FDA will refuse to approve any applications from competitors trying to muscle in on your rare disease drug. That means your company gets to totally dominate the market, set the pricing, and recoup those massive investments without stressing about a generic competitor immediately undercutting you. Finally, Section 6, what happens if you fail? With great rewards comes strict responsibilities, and the FDA has some severe penalties. The stick, if you don't hold up your end of the bargain. You can lose it all for submitting false information on applications, omitting crucial data from your filings, or failing to manufacture enough medication for the patients who need it. The FDA will completely strip away your exclusive rights if they catch you lying or hiding material facts. But honestly, the biggest one is that last point. You cannot just sit on an approval and fail to actually make the drug. The entire point of this law is to get medicine to patients, period. If you abandon your responsibility to the patients, the FDA will immediately open the doors for competitors to step in and take over your market share. If your supply chain breaks down, the FDA will give you a heads up and a chance to explain how you'll fix it. But if you can't resolve the shortage in a reasonable time frame, bam, they legally strip away your 7-year exclusivity. Other companies can step right in, get approved, and sell to those desperate patients. Your monopoly totally evaporates the exact second you stop serving the public. So how does this delicate balance of government incentives and strict penalties shape the future of modern medicine? As you think about all these complex rules we've covered, it's wild to consider how these carefully engineered regulations ultimately decide which cures escape the lab and actually make it to patients. It's proof that government compliance isn't just boring red tape, it's about actively shaping market forces to save lives that would otherwise be completely forgotten. Definitely keep these mechanics in mind the next time you see a massive medical breakthrough on the news.
If you found this helpful or want to stay updated when this regulation changes, subscribe and support the channel. And if you need the full technical details on this CFR, click the link in the description below. See you next time.